Being born and raised there gives me unique insight into how the locals perceive things. While Americans tend to view dogs more like humans, Mexicans see Cesarin, a world-renowned dog. His ability to heal even the hardest-nosed dogs has made him famous. He has one of the strongest philosophies on the planet, and being in his company is a breeze. Thanks to Cesar, many dog owners have successfully severed ties with their pets. His professional life was flourishing, but his private life was rapidly spiraling out of control. Cesar hit rock bottom after suffering through a string of devastating losses and betrayals. Depression, addiction, and suicidal thoughts were all things he struggled with. When did he become so overwhelmed that he could no longer cope? Did he manage to return? We will discover truths and lies told by Cesar Milan in The Rise Before the Fall. The path to fame as a dog whisperer was not an easy one for him. Bravery, strength, and an unbreakable bond with animals were the themes. What a remarkable journey Cesar has had. He overcame numerous obstacles on his path to becoming a well-known dog whisperer, beginning as a young man with an odd dream. He encountered numerous extraordinary things on his quest to establish his own life in America. When Cesar was 21 years old, he crossed into California on foot. His English was non-existent, and he was unemployed. His sole certainty was that he was destined to be a dog trainer. Leaving California wasn't exactly a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. Cesar slept on the street and took odd jobs to make ends meet. But his innate instincts and affection for animals remained constants throughout his life. His beginning came when he was hired as a dog trainer. He stood out from the crowd because he had the unique ability to soothe even the most aggressive canines. The news spread like wildfire. Cesar rose to fame after a short while for his exceptional talent in training dogs that others had written off as hopeless cases. Cesar avoided behavior-based training techniques and treats. Based on animal behavior and thought patterns, he employed signals that were friendlier, more energetic, and more commanding. More and more people began to employ him after word got out. One of his initial customers was the actress Jada Pinkett Smith. She offered him a job and even helped him with his English classes. She was supportive of his genuine aspirations and believed in his talent. With her assistance, Cesar was able to expand his network and gain Hollywood attention. In 2002, Cesar got his big break when he was featured in People magazine for his work with director Ridley Scott's dogs. It didn't take long for Cesar to land a job as an on-camera dog trainer on Dog Whisperer with Cesar Milan after producers picked up his story. In 2004, the show premiered. His show, which aired on the National Geographic Channel, demonstrated how he could calmly and firmly retrain even the most defiant dogs to behave. For Cesar, the idea that dogs don't require affection was profoundly basic and undeveloped. Prior to being loved, they must be active and trained. Because his thoughts were novel, they were adopted by individuals across the globe. Cesar transformed aggressive, fearful, and unruly dogs into friendly, submissive companions in front of a massive audience. As news of Cesar spread and his influence increased, he rose to fame. In Los Angeles, he established the Dog Psychology Center, where he treated some of the world's most adorable canines. Many of his best-selling books, including Cesar's Way, disseminated his theory of mind-shifting to dog owners who were in need of it. In spite of his success, Cesar never wavered from his commitment to his cause. He established a charitable organization, Cesar Milan PAC Project, to aid disadvantaged animals and educate the public about responsible pet ownership. The influence of Cesar's TV program extended well beyond the realm of television. As an authority on canine behavior, he gained global fame for assisting humans in improving their relationships with canine companions. The trifecta of bad luck, bankruptcy, divorce, and corporate betrayal, known all over the globe as the Dog Whisperer, Cesar Milan appeared to live the life of a dream. Because of his extraordinary talent for connecting with canines and curing them, Cesar became famous globally. He established a prosperous business empire and became a television celebrity. Underneath his apparent success, Caesar was dealing with massive personal issues that would put his strength to the test and alter the trajectory of his life. After his show Dog Whisperer with Cesar Milan became popular, Cesar Milan became the most famous person. Millions of people praised his innovative approach to reuniting lost dogs with their owners. A number of book deals, international travel, and the establishment of the Dog Psychology Center in Los Angeles followed. Caesar appreciated all of his obligations, but they also increased the amount of work he had to put in. Taking care of a complex business required a lot of thought and time. Being in the public eye meant that everyone was watching Caesar, and he began to feel pressured to constantly make a positive change. He appeared to have lost all sense of self-care as the obsession that brought him fame consumed him. Simultaneously, his personal life began to take a different turn due to the increasing stress and expectations of his job. All of this work started to strain his marriage to Cesar Milan, which had been built on a solid foundation of friendship and business. His incessant travel to attend to the needs of his kingdom began to strain their relationship. After an argument in June of 2010, Miss Cesar Milan filed for a dissolution of her marriage. Due to their inseparability in both their personal and professional lives, the breakup was not only an emotional but also a financially driven decision. Following their departure, Cesar was left to juggle the care of their two small children with the demands of running his business. For him, it was a watershed moment. On top of dealing with his own issues, Cesar also faced challenges at work. Even though he trusted his friends with crucial aspects of his business, they betrayed him on occasion. Businesses and celebrities are not immune to this type of abuse, even though some information is still private. Daddy, Caesar's cherished pit bull, passed away in the midst of all his personal and professional troubles. At 16 years old, Daddy became his friend, his co-therapist in rehabilitation, and a living embodiment of Caesar's theory. Daddy was crucial to Caesar's job because he was patient and kind at all times. He was an exemplary role model and was always willing to lend a hand in training classes. A chasm opened up in Caesar's heart the moment his father passed away in February 2010. Losing Daddy hit me hard. His words mirror his heartfelt sadness. In addition, I was going through a tough patch in my life when he passed away. The more Cesar lost, the worse his mental problems became. He was sad and thought a lot about life at that time. Cesar experienced a whirlwind of misfortune as his marriage disintegrated, his work group disregarded their agreements, and his father passed away. He became disoriented. His roles as Daddy's helpmate, spouse, and reliable voice in the dog recovery community were all areas in which he excelled. After losing those three foundational things, Cesar struggled to find the meaning in his life. During this period of questioning and disputing, Cesar finally snapped because he was obviously going through a lot of emotional pain. In May of 2010, Cesar attempted suicide due to his mounting problems, but he was unsuccessful. After advocating for canine rehabilitation, Cesar embarked on a path of self-discovery and healing based on the same principles: confidence, serenity, and equilibrium. The need to change was so great that he took this step. An essential part of this process was returning to therapy, reconnecting with family, and allowing himself time to grieve. Additionally, Cesar discovered solace in his work with dogs, which prompted him to exhibit greater empathy and comprehension towards the canines and their owners. A pit bull named Junior was selected to follow in his footsteps, so he took him in as a student. By incorporating both his daddy's memory and the lessons he learned from his everyday experiences into his new plan, Cesar was able to make progress towards his goal. During this difficult period, Cesar faced a test that altered his perspective on success and personal health. After leaving, he was determined to be himself again and realized that true security comes from achieving success at work and enjoying life on his own terms. Many people are reminded of the importance of being strong, knowing oneself, and asking for help when needed because Caesar was honest about his problems. Where did you feel the most pain? When he became dependent on drugs and attempted suicide. Cesar was escalating his problems, which was unfortunate. The world-renowned dog whisperer had another disastrous year in 2010. The most important things continued to elude him despite his apparent success and belief that he had overcome his problems. He had already lost his wife and been estranged from his children, so losing his dog was the worst possible outcome. The dog had been Cesar's constant companion for a long time, and the two had a special bond. After losing him, he attempted to pull himself together immediately, but he fooled himself into thinking he had already accomplished it. But then his melancholy struck him once more. The mental and emotional anguish he experienced as a result of this was overwhelming. When a dog was acting out, Cesar knew he could calm them down and get them back on track. He truly believed he was losing his identity as his life began to spiral out of control once more. He began to doubt his life's purpose as he grew older. He had no choice but to take his own life. True, he made an effort to do just that. It was May or June of 2010 when Cesar finally had enough. Finally, he broke under the weight of mounting stress, melancholy, and guilt. Suicide became an option he began to consider. The youth succumbed to a terrible moment of weakness and overdosed on medicine. He prayed that the medication would alleviate his emotional suffering. His unconsciousness was quickly detected and he was promptly transported to the hospital. It is a blessing that he was able to reach the hospital in time for them to preserve his life. Still, he counts that experience among the most formative of his life. When that happened, his friends and family began to notice how much he was hurting. However, Caesar did not publicly discuss his suicide attempt until much later. It was difficult for him to accept that he was fighting such big problems, he said, because he had already established a public image of being calm and in command. Thankfully, he mustered the courage to do that after some time had passed. Cesar Milan, The Real Story, was a film he made that addressed these concerns. In fact, he expressed his emotions in the video. Excuse me. There was nothing more to live for, he thought to himself, as he had failed miserably as a husband and a man. After escaping the suicide attempt, Cesar immediately began to struggle with his emotions. He eventually had to take medication to alleviate the excruciating pain, but he made a huge error of judgment because he became dependent on it immediately. He found solace in drugs during that period. Finally, the suffering wasn't something he had to endure in solitude. Medications could be available to him to alleviate the discomfort. Since Caesar was already taking things too far, it made no difference that he was famous for assisting many people in regaining control of their lives. Caesar was clearly becoming unsteady as he helped others regain their footing. The drug use dragged Caesar further into despair and disorientation, and he started using drugs as a crutch to escape the awful world he saw around him. However, his grasp on life's purpose grew increasingly tenuous as he dove further into drug use in an attempt to evade reality. A man who had been an exemplary patient leader quickly began to feel alienated from his former life's joys. He floundered in his professional and personal life. Most of this man's life had been devoted to instructing people in the ways of calm leadership, but now he was experiencing anarchy and self-doubt. He preached that understanding and leading others was the key to finding peace, but he struggled to live by those same principles. The impact on the family, although he may have felt so at the time, Cesar was actually not alone in this struggle. Those who shared his terrible emotion weren't alone. Although Cesar may have felt worthless after losing his family, they were powerless to stop him from deteriorating further. They were unhappy with their emotions. Andre and Calvin, his two sons, were the ones who witnessed his decline and therefore felt this way. The two boys observed as the relaxed and friendly atmosphere abruptly transformed into an anxious one. As they watched, the relationship between their parents deteriorated. When people break into your house, this is what happens. Parents may be oblivious to their own pain because they are too preoccupied with their own feelings. The truth is that children often focus intently, allowing them to notice minute details. Both of Caesar's sons noticed that their family's demeanor had transformed significantly. A once enthusiastic household was now filled with the muted cries of unspoken anxieties. However, the extended family also felt the effects of this stress. In the past, the family had been bound together by a shared cause, but now it seemed as though that cause was fading away. When they reunited, they used to have fun and laugh, but now Cesar's health was the only topic of conversation.